They created a giant, but at what cost? Volkswagen, a name you probably trust behind the wheel. Yet, what if I told you the story of this iconic company isn't as clean as their shiny cars? What if I told you that their legacy is soaked in blood, betrayal, and scandal? You see, behind the shiny Beetles and the sleek Porsches lies a history that's darker than you could ever imagine. Stick with me for the next few minutes, because what you're about to hear will change how you look at one of the world's biggest automotive giants. It all began in the ruins of post-World War I Germany. The country was in shambles, crushed by the weight of inflation, war debt, and a broken economy. The scars of the Great War were deep, and the German people were struggling to rebuild their shattered lives. Then came Hitler. His vision was clear: to restore Germany to its former glory, to make it a powerful force once again. But there was one glaring problem. Most Germans couldn't afford cars. Can you even imagine a modern society without cars? The idea of a people's car was born from this realization. This wasn't just a car. It was meant to symbolize the resurrection of a nation. A car that would bring speed and modernity to the masses. A car that everyone could afford. In his genius, or madness, Hitler turned to Ferdinand Porsche to make this vision a reality. Porsche was an engineer with a reputation for innovation, and he was tasked with designing the car that would become the symbol of a new Germany. And thus, the Volkswagen Beetle was born. Small, affordable, and designed with the masses in mind. It was meant to be the people's car, the car that could unite a nation and fuel the dreams of millions. But here's the catch. The people who helped make it happen, they never got the car. Why? Because just as production was ramping up, war broke out. The factory that was supposed to mass-produce the car was repurposed for a much darker purpose. It became a factory of war machines, pumping out weapons for the Nazi regime. And the workers, they weren't just employees. They were forced laborers, prisoners of war. The conditions in the factory, absolutely inhumane. Imagine working 16-hour shifts in freezing cold with barely enough food to survive. And if you didn't work hard enough, you were punished. These weren't just workers, they were slaves. Soviet and Polish prisoners were brought in, tortured, and forced to build weapons for the Nazis, all while the factory churned out cars that would never see the light of day. The horrors of what happened inside those walls are too disturbing to fully comprehend. But the story doesn't end there. The factory had a nursery for the children of the forced laborers, a place where babies lived in filth, neglected and starving, and where death was a constant companion. The death rate in the nursery, nearly 100%. And the company, they made the mothers pay for the funerals. Imagine that. Your child dying under the most brutal conditions, and then being forced to pay for the burial of your own flesh and blood. The depths of Volkswagen's involvement in these atrocities are staggering. And yet, as the war raged on, the Nazis tried to cover up the horror. They destroyed records, burned documents, and tried to erase all traces of their crimes. But in a twist of fate, one bureaucrat made a fatal mistake. Some of the wrong records went up in flames, and that's how we know the truth today. The dark history of Volkswagen could never be erased. Germany fell. The war was over. And so, it seemed, was Volkswagen. The factory lay in ruins, its assembly lines silent, and the workforce either gone or scattered. It was a symbol of failure, a grim reminder of a past that could never be fully erased. But then, out of the rubble, came Major Ivan Hurst, a British Army officer with the vision to bring Volkswagen back to life. Hurst saw potential in the factory. He saved it, rebuilt it, and just 1 year after he began, the factory was producing 40,000 cars, a remarkable feat given the circumstances. It was the kind of resilience that Germany desperately needed, and Volkswagen was about to rise from the ashes. Under Hurst's leadership, Volkswagen didn't just survive, it thrived. The company emerged from its Nazi-tainted origins and became a symbol of hope for a war-torn nation. By the 1950s, The Volkswagen Beetle had become a beacon of post-war prosperity, a car that could be owned by people who had once been crushed by the weight of war. The car, the company, and the people were all reborn. But despite this new beginning, the shadow of Volkswagen's past was never far behind. The company might have been reborn, but the sins of its past were too great to forget. By the 1970s, Volkswagen had moved far beyond its post-war roots. It was no longer just a symbol of recovery. It had become a global powerhouse. The Beetle had sold millions, a constant reminder of how far the company had come. The Volkswagen bus became the face of the counterculture movement in the United States, the symbol of freedom and rebellion. Volkswagen's ambition didn't stop there. They went on an acquisition spree, buying Audi, Bentley, Lamborghini, Bugatti, and even Porsche. The company had evolved into an automotive giant, reshaping the industry and dominating the global market. But for all their success and global reach, there was something sinister lurking beneath the surface. The same hunger for power that had driven Volkswagen to acquire and dominate would soon lead them to a betrayal that would rock the automotive world to its core. It was as if the darker chapters of their history were coming back to haunt them, casting a shadow over everything they had built. Fast forward to 2015. Volkswagen was riding high at the top of the automotive world. They were dominating the global car sales market, their reputation built on decades of success, innovation, and style. But then, the unthinkable happened. The clean diesel cars they had been boasting about for years were caught cheating emissions tests. The company had installed sophisticated software that allowed the cars to pass emissions tests in the lab while, on the road, they emitted toxic fumes that were far above legal limits. This wasn't just a minor mistake. It was a deliberate deception on a massive scale. What did this mean? Millions of cars were recalled, billions of dollars in fines, and the company's reputation shattered beyond repair. The scandal, known as Dieselgate, didn't just stain Volkswagen's name. It sent shockwaves through the entire auto industry. It called into question the integrity of every automaker, revealing that Volkswagen was willing to sacrifice the health of the planet for the sake of profit. The damage done by their actions was catastrophic, and it would take years, if not decades, to repair the trust they had so recklessly shattered. Today, Volkswagen still exists, but they are not the same. The company that once rose from the ashes of war and betrayal has faced one of the most significant scandals in the history of the automotive world. They have tried to bounce back. Relentless marketing, clever public relations campaigns, and a shift toward electric vehicles have all been part of their recovery plan. They are still one of the largest car manufacturers in the world, but their legacy carries a weight that can never be ignored. And the question that hangs in the air now is this: can a company ever truly escape its past? Can Volkswagen, with all its success and innovation, ever fully rebuild its reputation after such a massive betrayal? It's a question that remains unanswered. Despite all their efforts to move forward, to distance themselves from their Nazi-era roots and the Dieselgate scandal, the past clings to them like a shadow. The future of Volkswagen remains uncertain, and with every new car sold, the company must reckon with the legacy it can never fully escape. So, next time you drive past a shiny new Volkswagen, ask yourself, what are you really driving? A car or the ghost of history? If this video made you rethink everything you knew about Volkswagen, leave a comment below. Do you think they've really changed? Or is the past always with them? Let's talk about it in the comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more deep dives into the untold stories of your favorite brands. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.